Um, my PowerPoint, I like to do very basic things because I feel like I don't have to be really abstract. We're really going to be talking about what it is you have to put together and how it has to be, okay? Um, so is it a sentence or is it not a sentence, okay? I hit the ball. So in a sentence, you have to have a subject and a verb. So when you sentence out, is it a complete thought? Okay. Is it a complete idea? Does it make sense? You really have to think about that. I hit the ball. So when I say I hit the ball, what is the subject of this sentence? And you can type that in the chat if you don't want to do it verbally. So if you can type in the chat, I hit the ball. What is my subject in this sentence? No, it's not I. It's ball. Because what am I going to hit? The hit is the verb. Remember, a verb is an action. A verb is an action. So, Hamid, stop it. Um, so you have to know, guys. Let me go back. Let me go backwards. I'm going backwards. I'm going backwards. Okay. So a subject most of the time is a noun, which is a person, place, or thing. Okay. So a verb is an action. It is something that is going to happen. But there's also verbs that are still, that are not actions, such as, yes, ma'am, I can do that. Such as am, is, are, those type words, those are verbs, but they're still, they don't have any action. So in this instant, I hit the ball. Ball is my subject, and hit is my verb. Does everybody understand that? And if you look at the bottom, it says there that ball is a direct object, and that not all sentences require a direct object, but ball is the subject of it because that's what we're talking about. He's going to hit the ball. The ball is the subject, and hit is the verb. Okay. All right. Birds fly. Is that a sentence? You can just put a yes or no. I'm going to wait. I want to do a consensus. I want to see how many people are going to say whether it's a. I got 2 people. I got 8 people here, so I need I need 6 more answers. Okay, I'm still waiting. Um, Logan, I don't remember. Let me think about it. Okay, so I'm going to say it is a sentence. Um, is it Dacarius? Can you tell me why it's a sentence?
Because it has a subject and a verb.
It absolutely does. It has a subject and the verb. And the subject is birds. What about the birds? They fly. And so flying is an action. So we have a subject and a verb. So this one is a sentence. Now, a lot of people will look at it and say there's only 2 words. It's not a sentence. But yes, it is. It has a subject and it's a verb and it's a complete thought. Birds fly. They do fly. All right. Now, I take. Is that a sentence? No, it's not. Now, look at this picture. What is she going to take? And I need you to put that in a sentence. What is she going to take? Who can tell me 2 hamburgers? She's going to take a burger, okay? I will take 2 burgers, okay? So this is where we have to structure our sentence because I want everybody in the chat to write a sentence saying that her requesting a hamburger. I want to see that sentence. Everybody type me a sentence in the chat requesting 2 hamburgers. Deanna. Okay, Logan, I have a question for you. Look at your sentence. So, if you were writing a sentence, would you put the number 2 there, or would you spell out TWO?
You would spell it out.
Yep. And then also you spelled hamburgers wrong.
Yes, I did, but I forgot the R.
So do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just so easy in the flip of a moment just to do that. Deanna, yours looks great. Joanna, you don't have a subject. You're right. You said I will take 2. So this is another thing. Cell phones have messed us up. And when I say that, that means me too, because we want to do shorthand. You can't do that when you're writing. You have to be able to say, you have to have capital letters and punctuation at the end when you do sentences. And we don't have any capital letters. Kumar, you don't have any capital letters at the beginning of your sentence, and you don't have any punctuation.
Yeah.
So,
With the whole spelling thing.
remember, I said type a sentence into the chat. And so if you look at this, everybody did it like in a totally different way because I have people who don't have capital letters or punctuation. And so this is kind of like what I get when I get some of the papers because people are just kind of like typing. And so what happens, I mean, I even get a laugh out loud sometimes. I'm not joking. I get a LOL. So you can't really do that. It's kind of like how you, when you switch up with the people you are, you know, depending on who you're with, how you speak, because it depends on who I'm with, how I speak, I'll be honest. And it's kind of like that with writing. It depends on what you're doing, how you write. If you're on your cell phone and you're chatting, we can do the shorthand thing. But when you're writing, we have to switch it up. And sometimes our brain does not change gears the way we would like for it to change gears. So that's exactly why I ask you guys to write a sentence. and I kind of knew that I was going to get some shorthand, and I'm glad it happened that way so that I could point it out so you guys can kind of see, because in some of the papers I didn't have any capital letters in the beginning of sentences. And then sentences would just go on forever and they would be run on sentences. So we're going to talk about some run on sentences and things like that so you guys know what to do to kind of chop those off just a little bit more. Okay. Is it a sentence? Murray takes the train to school. Mom rides the bus. Is it a sentence? Yep, it is a sentence. But okay, let's think about it for a minute. Is it a complete idea that they ride the bus? Mm-hmm. Uh, it's a complete thought because Murray's riding the train to school and Mom rides the bus. So I'm gonna switch this over for a second, and we're gonna talk about those. Let me go back to that. We're gonna talk about those sentences that run on for just a second. And it does seem long, Logan. That's exactly what I was getting at. So, what can I do to this sentence where it doesn't feel so off? Doesn't it feel off just a little bit? How can I fix this sentence? I want you guys to type in the chat for me how I can fix this sentence. Murray takes the train to school, period. Mom rides the bus. Perfect, Rosemary. What's another way? Okay, Hamid, you're saying Murray takes the train to school, but Mom rides the bus. Yes, I'm gonna take your ellipsis this time. I'm gonna take it. Okay, so Murray.
Oh my God, I missed that.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm gonna write to Murray's mom. I
It's
missed
okay.
that.
Murray's mom rides the school bus, but she took the train.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what if we say Murray takes the train to school and nothing, period. Mom rides the bus. Murray takes the train to school and his mom rides the bus. We'd have to add a word, but there's a couple ways to do that. You can make it two simple sentences. You can add but. You can add and some people want to just put that comma there. Mary takes the train to school. Mom rides the bus. But do you like that when you see it?
Yes.
I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it. I'm just not a comma. I'm not a comma lady. I'm just gonna say that and leave it alone. I'm not a semicolon or colon lady either. Okay, run-on sentences. These are what we're gonna look at now. So this sentence says, I saw a teacher who cares. So, is this a complete thought first? Do we feel that this is a complete thought? I saw a teacher who cares. First, is it a sentence? Okay. What is my subject in the sentence? Subject is the teacher. And what is the verb? Cares. Okay. So if you look at the sentence at the bottom, it says the author may have wanted to write, I saw a teacher who cares. So it takes on a different meaning there, right?
Yeah.
So the first one says, I saw a teacher who cares. So the assumption could be that the sentence means, I saw a teacher who cares. Who cares about the students? Who cares about the school? But then you got this author at the bottom who may have said, I saw a teacher. Who cares you saw a teacher? I mean, really, we don't really know, because to me, even though it has the makeup of a sentence,
Yeah.
I feel like the thought is not finished. I mean, we don't really know care about what.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have the rest of that. It is considered to be a sentence, but we don't have the rest of it. Okay? So, sentence fragments, that means they can be broken up. Okay? Since he came to New York, is that a complete thought? No. Because my dog loves it. Is that a complete thought? No. Unless you see me. Since he came to New York, because my dog loves it, unless you see it. No, you can't put them together. Okay, so now if we look at the ones on the bottom, I slept. Is that a sentence fragment? Jim flew the plane. Do I have a subject and a verb? Yes. He cried. I have a subject. My subject is he. What did he do? He cried. My subject in Jim flew the plane is Jim. What did Jim do? He flew the plane. And the first one, the subject is me, I. I did what? I slept. So the sentence fragments are at the top. All right, this next one, because you wanted it. Is that a fragment? Yes or no? It is, because it's not a complete thought. Because you wanted it is not a complete thought. What did I want? I don't have I don't have I don't have a what's my subject? It. What is it? Since you bought tickets. Oh, okay. Okay. Since you bought the plane tickets, is that a complete thought? Okay. So let's look at what we have at the bottom. I gave you the ice cream because you wanted it. We've made that into a sentence by adding other words to it. Since you bought the plane tickets, I will pay for the hotel room. So now we've made those sentences complete. But before they were just part of a thought. I gave you the ice cream because you wanted it. Since you bought the plane tickets, I will pay for the hotel room. So we added to it to make those complete thoughts. And you see in one of the sentences we used because, and then in the other one we use since. In one sentence we used a comma, and in the other we did not. We get to talk about these lovely comma splices. Can somebody tell me what a comma splice is? Does anybody know? Can anybody tell me? A pause, a way to break up a run-on sentence. Can somebody please tell me what a comma splice is? Is somebody typing it? A way to break up a run-on sentence? Not yet finished. I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what a comma splice is. Nobody told me yet. Not a finished sentence. Let me see. All right. A comma splice is when two or more independent clauses are joined by just a comma and no coordinating conjunction. So that means when you have a sentence full of commas and you have no ands, buts, ors, or anything else, you're just using commas. That's a comma splice, excuse me. So if I have, let me show you. Julie is a real hypochondriac when her stomach hurts. She is certain that she has a bleeding ulcer. And if she has a backache, she believes that she has cancer of the spine. So we have a comma after stomach hurts. We have a comma after ulcer. But then we have that coordinated conjunction, and then we end the sentence. So here it says only you can prevent a comma splice. So it's talking about having that series of commas in one sentence without having that and. But you really don't want to have a whole bunch of commas. And I think I saw a couple of some sentences on a few papers that had like 4 commas in them. That's way too many. It's way too many. And Hamid said an instance of using a comma to link, oh, wait. An instance of using a comma to link 2 independent clauses, a way to have multiple objects in the same spot like ketchup, mayo, and mustard. This is a series, which is right. You use commas in a series. So a comma was used to combine the 2 symptoms. Yes. And then you use and that breaks up the monotony. Okay? You use coordinated conjunction. Oh, wait a minute, I went too far. I'm thinking of skipping English class. It's really boring. What can I do instead of writing that. How can I fix that? I'm thinking of skipping English class. It's very boring. How can I fix that? What word can I put there to fix that? Yes, Cesar, yes. Yes, Logan. I'm thinking of skipping English class because it's really boring. All right. Dan was late. We left without him. What can I put in that sentence? So, good job. Good job, Logan. Dan was late, so we left without him. Paul loves to travel. He visits Hungary at least once a year. What can we do to, what can we put in that sentence? Paul loves to travel and he visits Hungary at least once a year. And would be good. Is there anything else we can use besides and? So, I think we can use so there as well. Therefore would sound kind of, Paul loves to travel. Therefore, I don't think therefore we will, I think it would sound choppy. Therefore, he visits Hungary at least once a year. It would just be one of those words that would be a mouthful. And if it doesn't sound good to the ear, don't use it. Flying back from Greece, we saw a beautiful sunset. What could you do there? Is there anything you can do there? You think we just need to leave our comma alone and just let it lay there all by itself? Flying back from Greece, we saw a beautiful sunset. Yeah, I think so too. I think we just leave that alone and keep it moving. Okay. All right. Yeah, unless you switch the whole thing around, I would leave it the same way it is. I always find writing essays difficult. I usually leave them to the last minute. She makes a smashing apple pie. I love it. You see, these have nothing but commas, nothing else. I always find writing essays difficult. I usually leave them to the last minute. What word can we put there? So, yes, she makes a smashing apple pie. What can we put there? And I love it. You put that. If you put that, I love, you're going to have to take it off. So you would have to change the sentence a little.
Yeah.
My cat Buster loves to nap on warm appliances when he sleeps on top of the television. His tail swipes the screen like a windshield wiper. What can we use in that sentence? And you think we should? It looks awfully long, Logan. Or could we make it into two sentences? My cat Buster loves to nap on warm appliances when he sleeps on top of the television. His tail swipes the screen like a windshield wiper. Can we make those into two simple sentences instead? Split the sentences up. Okay. All right, we're done with that one. And that's mostly with that one, all I wanted to talk about. When he sleeps on top of the television, his tail swipes like a windshield wiper. hmm Um, I'm going to go ahead and pull up rice for Thanksgiving. Let me see. What did I put in here? Let's see. All right. So, what we have this time, guys, is another passage. Um, I love this one. I've loved it from the first time I read it. And so I am going to go into the course and pull it up. And so we're going to discuss as I read. Are you guys okay with that? Okay, good. All right. I'll close that because this is not going to be big enough for you guys to see it. So I am going to go back here, this thing, share. Uh-oh, somebody said, should you open it? You can open it, or I'm getting ready to open it in the course, so it should be big enough for you guys to see it. But it's totally up to you if you want to open it up yourself. All right. So as we go, I'm going to stop in places. And the only reason I didn't stay with my PowerPoint is because it's so small. It would be difficult for you guys to see what I have in there. So I wanted to use the actual passage. So it is rice for Thanksgiving. Until 4 years ago, when cancer took my grandma, the Chinese side of my family, my dad's side, spent every Thanksgiving at her house. It was always warm, heated by the oven and stove, which grandma usually had running since morning. Our family is large, but the feast she prepared was always much larger. She cooked pies, meats, vegetables, and stuffing, which, however delicious, were not my main course. My sister, my cousins, and I, we came for grandma's rice and gravy. And that's what comes to mind when I think about Thanksgiving. Not pilgrims, gratitude, or pumpkin pie. My image of Thanksgiving consists of grandma's 11 grandchildren pouring turkey gravy over mountains of steamed white rice. So, what do you think she means when she says, when I think of Thanksgiving, what I remember is me and my cousins pouring gravy over mountains of steamed rice. What do you think that means? Yeah, it's how she relates to Thanksgiving. She got a lot of rice and poured turkey gravy on top. Okay, so put a pin in that because, okay, put a pin in that. Just don't let your brain stay on that, okay? I'm going to share the screen again. I believe in rice and gravy because I am rice and gravy. I'm half Asian, half Anglo, and completely American. My generation learned in school that culture was something to celebrate and something necessarily foreign. Nobody ever explained to me that culture is not a set of exotic garments and foods, but something everyone has. Back then, many government applications and forms had yet to acknowledge the shades of gray in between the major ethnic groups. I usually check the Asian box, even though I am equally white. It seemed like everyone expected me to fit inside that box, and I sometimes worried that I wasn't Asian enough, like I was pretending. So I used to mourn what I saw as the loss of my Chinese heritage. Grandma never taught my dad to speak Cantonese. Our holidays were the American ones, and we ate our family dinners with forks. See, my grandma's generation wasn't taught that diversity was valuable. Her parents came to this country at a time when the central focus of American immigration policy was keeping the Chinese out. Discriminatory laws turned them into illegal immigrants. They used fake papers and adopted a fake family name in order to come here. Until 1943, the United States would not allow Asians to become naturalized citizens. Many parts of Phoenix, where my grandma grew up and where I was raised, were designated off limits to Chinese people before World War II. And interracial marriage remained illegal in Arizona until my dad was a teenager. Needless to say, my grandma was encouraged to downplay, not preserve her Chinese culture, which is why I've come to be proud of my mixed identity. My very existence is a mark of progress and a symbol of my country. A collage of people with roots all over the planet who thought not without strife formed something new and strong together. The now common phrase long time no see came from the literal translation of a Chinese expression into English. To me, rice and gravy is a similar type of translation. It's a delightful piece of culture that arises only at the point where immigrants braid their past into the American story. And that's what my family celebrates. I'm sorry. And that's what my family celebrates with rice and gravy for Thanksgiving. Now, the ironic thing is, the first class that I taught really thought that this passage was about rice and gravy for Thanksgiving. So, is that what you all believe? No. Okay, I would like at this point for us not to do the chat, but just for us to discuss. Um, I would just like for us to discuss because I think you would get more out of it if we have the verbal discussion and it will feed into your papers. So, what do you think about this? What do you think about the things that she was saying? Especially the part when she says, you know, she always checks the Asian box, but she's actually pretending. So, what do you think she means when she says that? Anybody? I got any takers? Uh, Rosemary?
That she may know more about the American culture than the Asian culture.
Exactly. Can somebody tell me why she knew more about the American culture than her own culture? Because she was really having to say that she was Asian, but she had no real knowledge of it. Why was that? Logan.
Her grandma moved there in the 40s where they were illegal, and then her dad just got his legal license to live in the country when he was a teenager. So they all had to become white per se to legally stay there. So they grew up white, learned white religion, and practiced what they were supposed to legally stay in the country. And that's what they taught her because they were still in that mindset.
Well, I don't know if anybody else is as old as me in this group, so I'm just gonna say this. So when I was in school, we were taught that the United States was a melting pot. Okay, and in being the melting pot, it meant that all of these cultures were just put together and it was just melted into being one culture, which was synonymous with just being, we all became American. Um, so as I got older, we then became this tossed salad, which everybody was celebrated and everybody got to keep their own cultures. And it then became everything was celebrated. But do you think that in the midst of that some of those traditions still became lost? Do you think that that everybody just switched back to celebrating everything, or was it just lost for a while? What do you think?
Are you asking me or the class?
Well, I'm asking the class. I'm asking the class.
Oh, well, I can answer it. Like, some
Okay, go ahead.
traditions were definitely lost. There's no way you can go, for example, 60 years without like going to dinner on like Sundays or whatever, depending on what you were doing, and then go back to it whenever it's legal again.
Right. And I would say, as an African American, we had Sunday dinner. I mean, every Sunday we would pack up and go to my grandmother's house every Sunday and have Sunday dinner. And I mean, it's not a small Sunday dinner because my grandmother had 10 kids. So, and all her kids had kids, so it was never small. You know what I mean? We always packed up and went to grandma's house for Sunday dinner. But now my grandmother is still alive, but we're like spread here, there, and yonder. So we really don't do that anymore. But I think just like over time with more of the generations and we slowly get away from it. And if we slowly get away from it and we were exposed to it, just imagine if you were never exposed to it, what it would be like. You would just never know. So I kind of keep that concept in mind when it comes to people just really not being able to identify with another part of themselves. So, how many of you have something or culturally in your life that you can relate to this story? How many of you have something in your life that you can culturally relate to with this story?
Well, in my culture, Santa Claus wasn't a huge thing. There was always, hey, Aunt, whatever bought you this gift. And so you would open it and say, thank you, Aunt, whatever. And so the whole Santa thing, and also that Elf on the Shelf, I'm trying to learn it to start the new traditions for my children, and I have no idea what they are. I'm asking coworkers and just kind of going and learning as I'm going.
Right. But you're learning those for your kids because it's something that's here now. But that's also like you just don't know. You know what I mean? And so it's almost like you have to um pretty much like you said, research it. You have to ask people, well, what do you do? And then you kind of feel like I should know. And people kind of probably look at you like, what do you mean?
Yes.
What do you mean? Because I know I would have said, what do you mean? So you just really have to be able to just say, look, I really don't know. Can you just tell me? And I just saw Rosemary talk about in the African American culture. I don't know if other people do it too, but we do the black eyed peas and the collard greens for New Year's for money and good luck. Um, well, Rosemary, honey, I had to switch those to pinto beans because I hate black eyed peas. So I do pinto beans. So that's, it's just things we do that we switch. We don't, I probably don't have good luck because I switched to pinto beans, but I hate black eyed peas. But do you see what I'm saying? How we just adapt things. And then there's certain things like, I don't even remember the superstition now, but you can't wash clothes on New Year's Eve or New Year's because you wash out your good luck and all this stuff. You can't have your lights hanging on your house. You can't let your Christmas tree be up on New Year's Day. All these things that we have that are cultural things. Does it interfere? Does it make you feel like, where did all this stuff start and why did it get started? Because I really want to know what happened that people said wash your clothes on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. Sometimes I really want to wash my clothes, but because sometimes it's just a regular day. So where did these things start and why do they start? Are you ever curious about those things culturally? Are you ever curious about why did this tradition start? So it's lost because if you don't have that family member that was there to be able to share with you why this began, you've lost a part of your culture's traditions. So if you really think about this in terms of what this young lady is talking about, what do we do? So when you focus on your paper, it is going to be a summary response. Who made up the idea of Santa? It's a guy that breaks in. It's just, I can't with you, Logan. I can't. You say breaks in, steals your cookies and your milk. I got to read that. Let's see. What did you say? Breaks in and just gives you stuff. Well, at least he's not taking it. He brings you stuff. He brings you stuff. That's a good thing, isn't it? Let's see. I'm going to go back here. Okay, so I am going to pull up. He might pet my dog and watch people sleep. Oh, so crazy. Stop it. Okay, so this is your rubric. In paragraph 1, you're going to write a summary of the article. Okay. So when you do your summary of the article, you have to summarize it. Don't copy it. Just summarize it. You're just going to talk about somebody did what was the problem, and how did they solve it. I mean, you just kind of go through there. And of course, you can use evidence from the text to support what you're saying. So that is a summary. And then the second part is going to be your personal experience and your opinions. So you think about what it is that you may have, like the New Year's Day traditions we have, any traditions or something that you have that has been passed down from generation to generation that you do, that would be something that would be comparable to the rice for Thanksgiving. Um, so just keep those things in mind when you are writing this, and then think about some of the things that we discussed. Um, but that is what you have to do this time. You have to have two paragraphs. You summarize the article, and then you also do your personal experience and opinions. And then here again, I have, no, you can't Google. Logan, what are you doing? Um, Logan, seriously? Not one? Oh, let me find one for you. What's something that you do habitually? A tradition that you did with your parents or somebody? What y'all do? Did y'all eat cake? Did y'all eat something? Did y'all watch football every Sunday? Is, is it something that you guys did together? Did you do it with a family member? Did you go camping? Is it something you guys did? You said none. Every year? Yeah. See, chicken parmesan on your birthday. There you go. There you go. So do you still have the chicken parmesan every year? Why not? Oh, well, you don't have to tell us why you don't celebrate anymore if you don't want to, but that would be something that you can talk about. It used to be every year, and you can tell us how that got started because it was a tradition because you used to do it every year. So that's a tradition. Like I can tell you, my middle daughter wanted a Power Ranger cake. She wanted a Power Ranger cake. Power Rangers. She will watch Power Rangers every day if I let her. Every day. Her tradition by herself. So here, guys, I've also put in this PowerPoint the example, the example of how you start your paper. Of course, it says opinion debate because I just copied it. Here you would write Rice for Thanksgiving, written by Jocelyn Fong, and then you would do the main idea, and then you would start your summary, and then you would do your two paragraphs. Okay.